In this video, what I'm going to show you is a lunge matrix that you can do with weight or without. I would usually teach people how to do this without weight, and then as they get more comfortable with the movements, then they can start to load their body with weight. So I'm going to do all of this for the right leg, and so the lunging leg will be the right and the left leg will stay stationary. But we're going to move in 3 different planes of movement with the leg, and then also 3 different planes of movement with the trunk. So as I play this through, you're going to see me step forward with my right leg, reach towards the floor, and then come back to home, and then step forward again with the right, and then reach back into extension. And then I'm rotating to, or these are stepping forward and side bending left and right. So there's the frontal plane tweak with the upper body. Now I'm rotating while still stepping with the right leg, and I've rotated right and left. So that is the sagittal lunging position with all the tweaks in both transverse, sagittal, and frontal plane upper body tweaks. So now we're going to go on to a frontal plane lunge where I'm going to step to my right, reaching towards the floor here. And you see that I'm getting good motion out of the right hip, stretching my groin on the left side. So this is just getting my body warmed up and ready for running. So then the next part would be stepping to the right again, but now I have the other part of the sagittal plane movement, which would be extension of my hip. Now I'm going into a frontal plane lunge and a frontal plane upper body tweak. So I'm side bending my body to the right, and then I side bend my body to the left. Once again, you would do this, if you did this without weights, you would just use your arms. And then the last tweak with this lunge stepping into the frontal plane would be rotating. And you can see here that you see my right hip is actually moving as my shoulders move. So we want to make sure we get a transverse plane load to the hips, so your hips actually move and you don't just twist your lower back. And then the last one is a transverse plane lunge. So what you're going to do is you're going to step back and rotate to your right at a 45-degree angle. So you're kind of rotating and you see this left foot stays stationary and points straight. Knee is relatively straight. Most of the movement's happening in this right hip. And I'm reaching towards the floor, and then I step back again, and that's just me doing an extra rep there. And then extension, and then there's the side bending, and then side bending to the left, and then rotating right, and then rotating left. So I would say to start out with, do them without weight, and you would do 3 reps at each position. So you're going to bend forward and extend back 3 times, side bend right, side bend left 3 times, rotate right, rotate left 3 times at each lunging position. So stepping forward, stepping to the right, stepping diagonal and back to the right, and then you do all this stuff again with the left leg. So here's a squat to press matrix that I've come up with. So here we're going to go over 7 different foot positions to do a squat. And we've got the weights over your head, but you don't need to have the weights. You could do just the squats. This just adds a little bit of an upper body exercise and warm up. So I've got my feet shoulder width here, and I'm going to go into a squat, squatting down and then pressing up. Okay, and then I'm going to change my foot position. So now my feet are going wide. And you can see, now you can see my hips are a little limited. I'm a little stiff because my feet are so wide. It's loading my hip mobility a little bit there. And then you go back to a narrow squat, and we got full range out of those hips. And then if we go a little bit to shoulder width with my feet turned in, you can see that that one's really hard on your hips. And then if you rotated the feet out and then squat down, you're going to get a lot more range out of the hips, more control. And then we're going to do a stagger step. So keeping weight 50 and 50 on the right foot and the back foot and the front foot. So with these ones, I would say you would do somewhere between 3 and 5 reps at each foot position. So there's 7. So we've got shoulder width, wide, narrow, shoulder width turned in, shoulder width turned out, and stagger stepped right and left. This will get you a good warm-up for your body, something that you could do pre-run that wouldn't fatigue you, but it would get all those muscles active. This last little exercise should be done with just body weight, and what you're going to do is you're going to predominantly stand on one leg. And with this one, what we've got is I'm standing on my left leg, my left knee is slightly bent, and what I'm doing is I'm reaching to the left with my palm up, which is making my body side bend to my right while pushing my left hip to the left. And this is creating an internal rotation load to that left hip, getting my body ready for what it would do when I run. So you can see I just kind of drive in and out of this movement a couple times. So I'm reaching, and the one thing that a lot of people end up doing with this is their shoulders and their hips don't turn together. Ideally, we want them to be one piece so they rotate as one solid unit. Otherwise, you're going to get a little bit of pain in your lower back. So you see that my shoulders are only going as far as my right hip allows me to do this. I'm not over torquing my lower back.